Okay, here's the recording. Через... Так, ще раз треба сказати всім привіт. Всім привіт! У нас лекція з зустріч з Єви Вoutsaki. Іде запис, і через 40 хвилин ми перепідключимося. І буду перекладати Юля для тих, хто не знає англійської. Все, можна починати. Okay, you can start.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Hello, and thank you for coming. I'm a bit stressed, but I will handle it. Share my screen.
Привіт, я дякую, що прийшли, і я трохи нервую. Don't be worried, please. We are happy to see you here.
Can you see my screen now? Oh, hold on.
Yes.
But that's the end. Sorry, this is the beginning. Play, you can see it. Cool. Okay, so I call myself a visual thinker because I think in images. That was since my childhood.
Я думаю про себе як візуальний мислитель, тому що з дитинства я починала це робити.
I was born and raised in a small Greek village, and I was blessed to have my lovely uncle who was an artist, and this is the happiest day in my life when we painted my mom's pot and when he taught me the skill to observe.
Я народилася в Грецькому маленькому селі, і це мій дядько, який був артистом, і він намалював цей вазон, який ми бачимо в фотографії.
I remember the word from the height of a 2 or 3-year-old, and I still shoot from that height.
Я пам'ятаю світ з висоти 2-3 метри, якщо я правильно, з якоїсь маленької висоти, і я досі думаю з цієї висоти. Окей.
So I will talk a little bit about my background, and then we will finish with my latest project and book. And because I also want you to ask any questions you have, and hopefully you will enjoy the talk.
Я розповім про мій бекграунд трохи, а потім розкажу про книгу. Також можете задавати питання.
This is, you can tell that I try to look like my favorite aunt. She was another inspiring person in my life. She's the one with the same haircut. And the older woman is my grandmom. And my aunt was the first one who studied in our family, and also the one who bought me my first mythology book.
Do you mean studied like what?
Went to university.
Okay.
From the village to study. That was a big thing.
Окей. Я народилась в сім'ї, в мене була тітка, яка вперше в сім'ї почала вчитись в університеті. Здається, вона на фотографії. Іра, ти не підкажеш, де вона?
З такою самою стрижкою, як Єва. Тобто та, що руку так на бедрі тримає.
Ага. І ще на фотографії бабуся.
No, she didn't study photography. She studied law. That was the thing. Did you see? Yeah.
Окей. Тітка вивчала закон. Не фотографію, закон.
Okay, so I read most of Greek mythology by the age of 6 because I could read a bit earlier. And these were some of my favorite myths. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they have inspired my work, and I use them as references.
Я вивчала грецьку міфологію, і мені дуже подобались, це мої улюблені міфи, які ви бачите в списку. І я використовувала їх для референсів у своїх роботах.
Yeah. Okay. My village was tiny, only 7 kids. The 7th is taking the photo. But that meant that I had a really alternative education. So we did lots of creative projects, including drawing the whiteboard, the blackboard.
Якщо вірно зрозуміла, це було маленьке село, де було тільки 7 дітей, та, Іра? Чи ні?
Да, правильно.
І вони робили багато креативних проєктів творчих в школі.
Okay, so these are some things that they ran through my childhood and then my university years when I went to study law, like copying my aunt. In the 90s, it was not an option to study art or photography if you were a good student, unfortunately. But I always liked, as I said, Greek mythology. Then I learned Turkish because I wanted to be a dervish.
You wanted to
Dancing.
be dervish?
Dervish is a mystic in Turkey where they dance and they connect. It's a mystic thing. I cannot explain.
Like a shaman, like
Yeah, a little bit, but you have to dance around each other and it's representing the comets and the planets. It's so beautiful. The dance is like a trance and you could learn it in Istanbul. That was the only school that accepted women. But I decided maybe it's okay, maybe it's too much.
Окей. Єва пішла шляхом своєї тітки, вона вивчала міфологію, також любила...
Вона вчала закон, типу право.
Вивчала закон? Окей. І подобались також всі ці штуки, які вказані на слайді, і також вона думала вивчати танці, містичні танці, які називаються дервіш, але передумала, що думала, що це занадто.
I still dance. I dance, at least 10 minutes a day, and it's a good way to actually come back to your body. Anyway, I also like poetry. I studied in Thessaloniki, and there was a film festival. And then I also like philosophy, Jung, the psychoanalyst, memory. I like studying memory. And I will talk about transgenerational trauma. Gardening is important, nature, mountaineering, music, and keeping a diary. So I keep a diary since I was 12 and I write poems since I was 9. So I think I've written more than I've photographed.
So you study all these things by yourself?
No, it's like, personal development. I studied law.
Yeah. Єва вивчала самостійно, як хобі, як захоплення, ці перелічені, як містицизм, поезію, фільми, філософію, психологію, Юнга, пам'ять, трансцендентальну травму, пам'ять, природу, музику і всі ці штуки як частина її самовдосконалення.
Yes. So as you can see, it's like deep existentialistic stuff, but then also quite raw, like gardening and mountain. And I think this is a good balance. There you go.
Я думаю, що ці предмети, вони складають гарну комбінацію балансу між собою.
Okay, let's go now to my photography years. When I studied law, I discovered the photography club under the toilets of the law department. So it was almost like an anarchist squad. Like And that's it. My studies finished, and photography love started.
В правовій школі, де вона вчилася, під туалетами знизу на мінус якомусь там поверсі був фотоклуб. І коли вона його знайшла, то вона своє навчання права закинула. But you didn't finish it officially, or did you just...
I finished. I got my degree because I wanted a scholarship. So I finished law and then became a solicitor. And when I was 30, I moved to UK.
Але
So
вона
I did...
не заснувала той клуб анархічний. Вона сказала, що це було схоже на анархічний клуб, і що їй просто це захопило. Але право вона закінчила.
I mean, when I say the photography club was like an anarchy group, it's not that we were destroying things, but we took a space that was not used and turned it into a dark room. It was amazing. Creative anarchy.
So were you a part of creating that club or not?
No, but I was one of the first ones. So it started in 1996 and I joined 1998. So,
yeah. Так, ну, майже Іра правильно сказала, що Єва долучилась до клубу десь на початку. Там була лабораторія, в якій вони навчались.
Yeah, so these are my first black and white photos. This is Araguler, who's an Armenian photographer in Turkey. And I loved visiting his cafe or his studio. He was very wise. And, you know, Armenians in Turkey, it's a bit like a paradox that he survived. And I remember him saying, I'm the most famous Turkish photographer and I'm an Armenian. And then he would laugh. So for me, that kind of raw humor was like, that's interesting. That's, you know, he was telling off the Turkish government by saying, well, guys, I'm the most famous Turkish photographer you have, and I'm Armenian. So, excuse my language.
Окей. Цей чоловік, він армянин, який жив в Турції, і він сміявся, що він найвідоміший турецький фотограф, але він армянин.
Okay, then my first photos were about my family. That's how, you know, I started, like people who were close to me. That's what I also say to my students, start from people you know. So the first series is my mom, my dad, helping my parents in the village, my cat.
Перші фото, які я робила, це фото моєї сім'ї. Я завжди кажу своїм студентам, що треба починати з того, що є біля нас. І це, власне, фотографії сім'ї, які зараз показують.
So I always had the camera with me when I will go back from the city to the village, and I will help them and also take photos. And that's my village.
This is a village?
Yeah.
Я завжди брала з собою камеру, коли їздила між містом та селом. Це село, фотографія села, і фотографувала в дорозі.
Now, and then Dracona is the village, and then from black and white, I turn into color. And also this is the map of my village, and the blue dots are the family archives I have scanned. So it's a big project. This is my next book. That is all the photos I've taken since 1999 until 2019. So that's 20 years, is it? Yeah.
Я фотографувала чорно-білим, і після того перемкнулась на кольорові фотографії. Це мапа мого села. І цей проєкт тривав з 1999 по 2010.
19. So it's 1999. Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah. Okay, 2019, 20 років проєкт фотографувала.
This is a magic place for me that is related to Greek mythology. This is where I believed that nymphs live in the trees. You know, this in ancient Greek mythology, in the past, ancient Greeks will not kill a tree because they believed that every time a tree is born, a nymph is also born with it. So every tree had a feminine figure. And for me, that's where they all were, in my village.
That's cool. Я фотографувала дерева, які нагадують мені про міфологію німф з грецької міфології, що кожне дерево – це німфа.
And this is the last photo of the project. I decided to finish the project when Erasmia died. That's one of my favorite people in the village. And in this photo, she couldn't recognize me. And then she died a year later.
Ця жінка – це улюблена людина з того села, моя улюблена людина, Ерасмія, і на цій фотографії вона вже не впізнає мене.
But I love the cat. You know, she had the radio and the cat. That's all you need you know, like a bit of music, bit of company.
Я люблю, що тут зображений кіт і радіо. Це надає задоволення прослуховувати радіо та якась компанія поряд.
That's raki making, like heavy vodka. It's very traditional.
Ракія?
Raki is like a traditional Cretan alcohol, and as a kid, I used to drink alcohol in a village. Kids drink early, so I remember seeing blurry things. I guess I was drunk, and then and then when I took this photo, I'm like, now that explains why I couldn't see. When I visit this place, they will give me raki.
Тут я куштувала ракію, це така алкоголь, він схожий на водку, така важка водка національна, яку навіть п'ють вранці, і тут вона випила алкоголю, і в неї було трохи затуманено, і вона не могла її бачити ясно.
That's my dad, and that's how Drakona is written in Greek. So I have scanned lots of images.
Sorry, what is the image?
The back is the back of a photo that has the name Drakona, and I think I may use it in my book as a cover or something.
It's from the village.
So that's the name of the village in Greek.
Okay. Це фотографія скан з того села Дракона.
It says we have 9 minutes left. So I'm gonna keep showing photos. So I've been taking these photos for like 20 years. I've seen people growing up, dying, new lives, more cats, more pets. And I'm like the historian of the village. So it's quite interesting.
20 років я спостерігала, як люди в цьому селі народжуються, помирають, заводять нових тварин в себе. Вона як історик для цього села.
Yeah. So all these kids now are like 60 years old. And this is an archive from another family.
Ці діти вже зараз 60 років їм, і це архівне фото від іншої сім'ї.
And then from all these family archives, I made a dummy that did really well. You can read in my website. And I used the family archives. I went back to the school And I told the kids of the village to draw on the photos. So it's kind of a form of art therapy where you actually rework on family archives. And I'm very proud to say that this girl is now studying graphic design, and the little boy next to her is studying filmmaking. So I have inspired those kids.
Cool. І я зробила дамі, це як графічна розгортка для фотокниги, де були включені архіви від сімей цього села. Також вона поїхала в село і дала ці фотографії розмалювати дітям, і діти потім деякі вчились на графічних дизайнерів.
Then I use this technique where you photocopy a photo and then you enlarge it, you print it as a photocopy and you paint. I used it in workshops in Latvia and in Princess Trust with teenagers that were in trouble. So I've used it a lot, this technique. It's very relaxing.
Єва любить використовувати цю техніку малювання, вона розслаблює, і вона часто її використовує також на інших майстер-класах.
So Sirens, vis absoluta. This is a project about my granddad. Sirens, again, it's part of Greek mythology, is when Ulysses returned after the Trojan War back to his family in Ithaca. At some point, sirens are the female creatures in the sea that sing very beautifully, but they will lure the sailors to their death. So siren is also the alarm. I mean, in Ukraine, you have lots of sirens at the moment. So the reason why I used sirens is because it's an alarm, but it's also something that will kill you, but you have to avoid. It can actually fool you, like, this kind of singing. And this is the idea of like refugees from Iraq and Afghanistan trying to come to Europe, but then dying in the Mediterranean Sea. So it's this idea of like they are being lured. They're being like, hello, Europe is nice, but then they actually, they have accidents, unfortunately. So
Is refugees from which countries?
Iraq and Afghanistan, that they come through Greece, and in the boats, they have accidents.
І проєкт, який називається Sirens, це як сирени, як забула, як українською буде, з міфології, створіння, які співають в грецької міфології співають, та це як свого роду сигнал тривоги, який або просто сигнал, який може вбити, і також відносить нас до теми для Еви, виносить теми біженців з Іраку та Афганістану, які мігрували через Грецію.
Yeah, so in 2015, I did something with refugees in Greece, and the reason why I wanted to revisit my family history. That's my granddad. My granddad was not supposed to survive. So he is the myth of Sisyphus, He's the guy who was only one person from the village was taken to a concentration camp in the Second World War. The reason why he was taken is because he helped some Italians to escape the Germans. I mean, it's in a wartime, everything is messed up, I guess. So anyway, he was taken in a concentration camp, and it took him 2 years after the war to come back. My grandma had made his funeral. I mean, it's not funny, but he ended up in a mental home. And when he came back, he became an alcoholic to survive.
Wait a second.
Very sad story. Anyway, where do I start? So the key ideas is concentration camp, Mauthausen. He managed to survive. The statistics were very low to survive. And he came back 2 years after the end of the war. And my grandma had his funeral, but he was alive, locked in a mental home. So this is, 1945. And for me, the fact that we still have wars and suffering and all this thing is unacceptable, is deeply sad. But the myth of Sisyphus is that he fooled death. So everyone thought he's dead, but he wasn't. I mean, if you Google the myth of Sisyphus, you will see what I mean. It's complicated.
Ці фотографії тут зображені її сім'я і дідусь, який нагадує їй історію про Сізіфа, який мав померти, але вижив. Він був єдиною людиною, яку забрали в концентраційний табор під час війни, і через те, що він допоміг італійцям. І після війни він все ж таки вижив і повернувся додому. Але це сумна історія. В нього почалися проблеми з психікою, і через деякий час він помер та був похоронений вдома.
So he came back, and then he had my father and my aunt, my favorite aunt. And it's only like 4 years ago that I found official documentation about him. So you can see Voutsaki's Ioannis Drakona, 65-199. That's his number. And there were 443 prisoners from Greece. And he said he's a Schuster. Does Schuster means a shoemaker?
No, Schumacher is the shoemaker. I don't know what Schuster is, but I can look it up.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the reasons he survived.
Oh, it is. You're right.
He mentioned that he was a shoemaker, but my granddad was a farmer. So I think someone told him, Bauer, I think it's the farmer. So someone told him, mention you can make shoes. And he was then taken to an arms factory as a slave. And that's why he survived, because he was useful.
І тільки 4 роки тому Іва дізналась про історію з архівів, про історію свого дідуся, дідуся. І він тут вказаний як людина, яка вміє створювати взуття, але насправді він був фермером, і це його врятувало, що його віднесли до іншого місця, де він врятувався.
And this is a book, I have a quote from this book. This is an amazing book from one of the pioneers of research about PTSD. His name is Bessel van der Kolk. And this is a key book. The Body Keeps the Score, Mind, Brain, and Body in the Transformation of Trauma. He's a neuroscientist. And he talks about the research about PTSD and trauma. And I like that Olena is focusing on trauma, and it's amazing. I mean, when I heard her talking about the children of Ukraine and like that you need to make sure that they don't carry the trauma, I'm like, she's...
Which Olena are you talking about?
Zelensky.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You just call her by name, like, oh, Lena, she said.
You're Olena, you're first lady.
The Olena.
The Olena, yeah.
Okay,
it's only one Olena. I don't know any other.
Right,
Olena.
she's the only one.
And I'm like, this is the kind of leaders we want. We want leaders who understand that war will cause trauma, will cause PTSD. And even if you're a kid and you witness a little bit of that, or even if you hear something like a rumor, you need to, as a country, to heal before it becomes something bigger. Because my granddad had PTSD, but no one really diagnosed him. And his suffering has passed through my dad to me. So this is what I call transgenerational trauma. And that's why it's important for me to talk through my photography and get it out. And it takes enormous trust and courage to allow yourself to remember. My granddad never talked.
Okay, I will try to
The
translate
big
it.
thing. Try to.
І
Олена.
Єва розповідає про книгу, яку вона використовувала для своїх проєктів, яка ось вона показує про тіло та травму, про ПТСР як наслідки після травматичних подій, військових подій, і які були в її дідуся. І вона згадує Олену Зеленську, що вона вже починає думати про це, про те, як буде впливати це на дітей в майбутньому. І Єва каже, що ця травма передалась від її дідуся до її батьків та неї самої. Тому так важливо про це зараз працювати над цим до того, як це стане якимось дуже серйозною травмою.
And I always thought that the guy who's naked is my granddad because he looks a bit like him. Okay.
Єва думає, що цей чоловік без одягу, що це її батько, тому що він виглядає як він.
The statistics, he was liberated from Gusen, that's Gusen, and the statistics were 25% to survive, I think, or even less. And then these are some photos I took when I went to Auschwitz, but I'm now going to Mauthausen, so I'm doing research and I will do a book. So that's the myth of Sisyphus.
Ці фото попередні вона зробила, коли їздила до Аушвіцу. І Гусен, це статистика того місця, тільки 5% виживших.
Yeah, but the myth of Sisyphus, the thing that I like is that he actually, I think 3 times he tricked death, and who was a god in ancient Greece, and he died of old age, but then he was punished to roll a big rock. That was his torture. But he had survived anyway. He had life, kids, grandkids, and he said, whatever.
So it's like it reminds you of the history of your grandfather. Цей міф Сізіфа. Сізіф 3 рази переміг смерть, переміг Бога, але в кінці він був punished, Іра. Покараний тим, що тримав важкий камінь. І це ця історія якраз про дідуся.
You can Google it and read it in Ukrainian. I think it's much easier than see. You know, it's a very common, it's a very known myth.
We studied at school.
Good.
Well, I remember it from school times.
I remember when I read it as a kid, I was like, why was he punished? He was a clever guy. Why punish someone who's cheeky and clever? It's just. But you know, in order to survive from a concentration camp, my grandfather was a clever guy, you know, and he will just observe. But then anyway, this is an installation I made. I used family photos that I found and put them in like strings.
Це фотографії сім'ї, які Єва підвісила на нитках.
And I really like, one of my favorite visitors of the exhibition was a little kid that was mesmerized because when you enter the room, they started moving from the air of the people walking. And the idea is that one side is black, so one side is no one, and the other side is the face. And this is the idea that war can turn you from a father or someone to actually no one. Like when you're a refugee, sometimes you just become a number.
Ідея, ці фотографії з однієї сторони чорні, а з іншої малюнок, і вони нагадують про те, що війна може перетворити людину в нікого.
Okay, now that's sorry, it's my projects are a bit depressing, but this is life. Okay, now it's my brother. So my brother has the same name like my grandfather, and he survived from a mountaineering club. He survived from a cave. He stayed 2 days with his dead friend. So it was very horrible. Again, he didn't talk, and then 3 years later, he got paranoid, and now he has, I don't know, he has serious mental health problems. But he's the reason why I studied mental health.
Це фотографія мого брата, в якого ім'я таке саме, як у дідуся, і у нього також був досвід травматичний. Він 2 дні був в печері, де намагався вижити. Після того в нього також були ментальні проблеми, і через це Єва захотіла також вивчати психологію.
And he says that I'm the only one who can understand him. And this is the first time he went back to the mountains after the accident. That was 8 years after the accident. We went together, and we stopped the car because it was misty. And I took a photo of him, and then he took a photo of me. And I think this diptych tells a lot about, you know, our relationship and how we are connected. And he also said that give the book the name A Human's Tale, because what happened to me can happen to anyone. You know, this idea of an accident and then trauma, depression, paranoia, you know, mental health. Apparently 1 out of 4 has a mental health problem. Hello.
Ми поїхали через 8 років після події, яка сталася в печері. Ми поїхали з братом вдвох в те місце, де зробили ці фотографії. Фотографія її брата та Еви, і вона розповідає про міф, сказання людини, з якою, що з будь-якої людини може трапитись така історія.
So that was Gigilos was the mountain where he disappeared, the cave. He disappeared for 2 days. And this reminded me of the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. So I want to go back to caves and photograph this idea that he's my loved one, and I need to go and find him and bring him back to life.
Я хотіла поїхати знову в ті печері і сфотографувати ідею того, що вона любить свого брата, і вона повинна знайти його в тій печері. Перед цим була картинка з тими печерами, де він застряг зверху. Там він застряг.
Okay, now we go to traces within. And this is just photos, and it's a book. It's photos from 2006.
Цей проєкт Traces Within, слідів, не знаю, як дослівно перекласти, і я забула.
So traces within, it means I follow the traces to find my within. It's all after all these years of studying the mental health problems in my family, my granddad, my dad, my brothers, like, what the heck is going on here? And also, you know, growing up and figuring out who am I. It's following the little traces to find. It's a very Jungian thing. It's a very psychoanalytic.
Окей. Окей. Ці фотографії цього проєкту – це як дослідження своєї сущності, своєї всередині, як подорож для пошуку себе, використовуючи теорію Юнга. Через те, що було так багато історій про сімейну депресію і травматичних історій, от, які вплинули на цей проєкт.
So yeah, these are nighttime photos where I try to find the light in the darkness, like a metaphor.
Пошук світла в темноті як метафора пошуків всередині себе.
And you know, when you read Jung, it's all about paths, driveways, the cave. He uses lots of mythological references, and it's very beautiful. I like his approach.
Єва дуже любить підхід Юнга. Він міфологічний, він використовує шляхи, печери, міфологію.
And this is the last page of the book because I wanted it to look like all these people are looking at a magic lantern, like this kind of history of photography, you know, when you had the projection and everything looked a bit magical.
Їй подобається, що це фото останнє, тому що ці люди, вони наче дивляться на магію, яка відбувається в фотографіях.
Okay, and these are some my own writing from my diaries. I don't know which one you want to translate. Maybe you follow the light and the shadow follows you. It's like my diaries that I keep. Lots of writing.
This is a text from your diary.
Yeah. So
ці тексти – це частина того, що я виписала в щоденнику своєму. Одна з останніх фраз, наприклад, «Слідуй за світом, і твоя тінь буде слідувати за тобою». Якось так.
Yeah, I like, for example, I like the first paragraph says, she started narrating, that's me, but there was no one there to listen to her stories, and so she turned into light and disappeared into the darkness. That's like my photos. Yeah, and when I look back to my diaries, I'm like, I was actually doing journaling, like a form of therapy without realizing it. Because when you write down your darkest the thoughts you cannot share with people, and then you're fine because you take them out, you clear.
Окей. Ця форма ведення щоденника, вона була терапевтичною і допомогла очиститися, тобто краще було після того.
Yes. So this is kind of a page of my diary. I write and rewrite. That's like a poem and a self-portrait.
Частина щоденнику, автопортрет та поема.
Sorry, do you use these pages as a part of your project as well?
No, but my graphic designer said at some point I should publish my diary because they're really beautiful. But I use them as a form of talking to myself almost, because then I read, I'm like, I observe myself through my writing.
Я наблюдала за собою, спостерігала за собою через це письмо, і видавник сказав, що треба публікувати цей щоденник також.
And I realized I'm obsessed with archival old photos, old family, any family, you know, your family, my family. Just beautiful.
Ці фотографії моєї сім'ї, вони прекрасні для мене.
Okay, so now these are the last slides where I'm gonna show you my book making process. This, I don't know if you can see, this is a photo of my dummy, a mini dummy. So the traces within became a book in 2020, and I wanted to have like a flow. So I wanted the viewers to dive into their own subconscious. And these were my notes. Yeah.
Це фотографія дамі, як же буде дамі українською?
Макет?
Макет, yes. Макет фотокниги, яку я створила для проєкту Traces Within. І я хотіла створити потік, потік з цих фотографій, які підсвітили підсвідомість того, хто дивиться.
Also, because I like gardening and composting, I wanted things to be eco-friendly, biodegradable, compostable, recyclable. That's why I used pure print, local printers who are eco-friendly. And yeah, I use materials that they can be compostable.
Я використовую тут матеріали, які екологічно дружні і які можуть бути потім компостовані, ці, які використовують ці фотокнизі.
Yeah. And then I realized that actually my book has, so all these are notes and all these are maquettes. It's just non-stop experiments until I found the right form.
Це фотографії експериментальних форм макетів, поки я не знайшла те, що треба.
And now this is the book. So the book is like 3 booklets in a concertina, in one cover, and you can view it in 2,197 combinations. So it's like, that's a lot.
How is it bound?
It is, so this is, I will stop sharing and show you a bigger image. So it's a monster. It has a big cover and then 3 books. So it folds like this. You can, it's 3 booklets. And then you can open them as 3, 2, or 1. Ira, you have it. Yes. And then I realized that from 2006 to 2020, I put 38 photos, roughly 38 seconds of my life, but actually there are millions, 441 and a million seconds. That's the photographer. What you see is like a tiny fraction of a second. Yeah. Okay.
В цій фотокнизі використала 38. You used 38 photographs in this photo book.
Yeah.
38 фотографій, які створюють різні комбінації між собою, щось десь 2197 комбінацій. От, але загалом було дуже-дуже багато фотографій, але залишилось 38.
Okay, I'm gonna let the rest of the time for people's questions because I finished. Thank you.
Питаннячка або відгуки ви можете сказати, що вам сподобалось.
Eva, thank you so much. It was like really interesting listening to your experience and watching your projects as well. I'm actually working like I like found photography as well, mostly family albums as well. It's like just moved into the new flat, so found the archive of the owner here.
Wow.
So I'm working on one theme now, and I'm interested if you can me something about
Please.
like the nature of remembrance, how we remember. Something not connected with the transgenerational trauma, because I like know those books mostly, but maybe on the nature of recollecting.
You disappeared a bit when you were asking your question.
Yes, sorry.
Your
Maybe
question
it's
about remembrance.
unstable. The internet is unstable at some moment, so sorry.
Yeah,
Like about the nature of remembrance.
yeah,
Like,
I think it's what Jung said about the collective subconscious. You know that we all.
Yes, but he's not. Maybe more something more philosophical, a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe
I think we are.
Neuropsychology. Maybe.
Yeah, but he was also, you know, into mythology and analysis. Maybe if you want, I can suggest some books. Like there's what's his name? I forgot. About memory. Bergson. There's a philosopher.
Andy Bergson. I know him. Yes, I've been reading him. Yeah.
That's
okay,
a good.
Yes.
He's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like him. Gaston Bachelard. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions?
Hello, Eva, again. Thank you so much for your presentation. I really liked it a lot. And I don't know if I have like normal question to you, but I was just like thinking it must be probably very difficult to talk about like something very personal and quite a traumatic experience with your art. And maybe in general, maybe you have some like thoughts which you would like to share with people who would like to talk with their art and try to like figure out some things about themselves and also to deal with their traumas. Because I'm trying, for example, analyze myself, and I understand that I'm not brave enough sometimes to talk about what is like really important to me. And I kind of like want just like to keep it somewhere like close to me and not showing to anybody. And like my question is like how to start and how to be that brave and allow my emotions, feelings, and maybe some experiences which are not the best, of course. So maybe some of them are good, some of them are not. How to allow them like to go in my art. And
the most important thing is to feel safe, first of all, and feel that you can regulate your emotions so it's not too much for you, so you don't break. And I don't know if you can do like therapy or counseling. Therapy has helped me a lot, you know, to identify the triggers or, you know, find the right words. When I started therapy, I used to cry a lot. It was but then you realize it's we need to break the stigma, you know, because if I talk, then you are like, okay, maybe I can talk too. And then the more we talk about mental health and trauma, then we help other people who may haven't thought that they have trauma. But also, you know, first of all, you need to feel safe. So don't feel you will share when you're ready. You will know when you are ready to share.
Okay. Thank you. So basically you came to sharing with your art with first like analyzing yourself with a specialist, yeah, and after that you let your emotions go out and share using your art and
I've tried normal therapy, but it didn't work with me. So for me, art therapy worked the best. And I worked with an art therapist for a year where you actually don't create art. Art therapy is a weird thing. You just go to different layers. You just dig. You just don't use words. You use images, because with words, we can all be so sophisticated and like, ooh, if I say this, they may think I'm depressed. If I say this, but with art, you just open the gates. But you need like a safe environment and like someone who can guide you. So then you don't, you don't feel too vulnerable. Ira, you want to join again?
Maybe I will translate a little bit. І Єва розповідає, як почати самодослідження, самозцілення. Це, по-перше, треба якесь оточення безпечне, що для нас трошки складно, звісно, регулювати свої емоції з допомогою, наприклад, терапевта, ходити на терапію. Також їй допомогла дуже арт-терапія. Але арт-терапія, вона трошки складна через непрямий шлях, якісь різні рівні. Але треба також зруйнувати стігму, яка є. Єва, can you please say some books or reads that could be useful for art therapy?
Okay, yeah, I will send the books to Ira, and then she can share with everyone the links, because there are lots of books. I mean, there are some pioneers in art therapy. Judy Weiser, and she's very good. And then there are like, yeah, I mean, her book is possibly the best, because then you have other people trying to copy her, but she's like the key. And yeah, the most important thing is that you feel safe. So, when in 2003, when my brother started going in the mental home, that's when I found out about my grandfather. But I always knew from my grandfather that he had trauma. As a kid, there was something I could feel. And the first years of my brother in the mental home were devastating, were very horrible. I went through panic attacks, insomnia, anxiety, because my family thought that my brother was the only problem, and that I didn't have any problems. I was trying to keep the brave face for the family and be the good girl. But my brother's suffering affected me deeply, and I will just cry. So you go through a phase of like grief, and then you find the right tools to empower yourself. And knowledge is really important. If you know the diagnosis, and then you read more about something, and then you try to heal. So it's a life journey, but it's really nice. It is empowering. Is it okay what I said? Is it useful?
У 2003-му брат Єви потрапив в психологічний hospital, mental health, і тоді вона намагалась бути сильною, і батьки не помічали, що їй також важко. Але потім вона страждала також депресією і ментальними проблемами.
Any other questions?
Can you show the book, like the full
Book,
thing?
yes. So I will first show you the dummy, because it's easier to understand in the small one. So you see it's a long strip of hard cover, and then I bind the 3 books, and then they fold, and then you can view them as 1 book, 2 books, 3 books. And this is the book. The book. So you need actually space to open it up. And then I like how different combinations, so you have 2,197 different combinations take you to different places. Even for me, that I know these photos for so long, I'm like, actually this triggers a different memory or a different emotion. Yeah.
And you hand bound it and
Yeah.
all the copies.
Yeah, it's not that difficult because it's only 1, 2, 3, 4 holes, and then this is easy binding, and I use red thread, and actually I didn't know it. My Chinese students told me red thread, when you're born, the red thread connects you with the people you are meant to meet anyway. So red and the red thread is a very symbolic thing in Eastern mythology. I didn't know that, but
Yeah, it's like a connection
Yeah.
in mythology. Yeah. Всі копії були вручну зшиті Євою цієї книги. І також червона нитка, яка шиває, вона відсилає нас до міфології, якої використовується нитка, як поєднання між різними істотами, зв'язки між людьми або чимось іншим.
How did you come up with this number? 2000 something something.
I know the number came.
Yeah,
So
how did this number, like, through which
I started,
mathematical conclusions did you get that number?
I bound the book, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see.
Зависло.
I was like 1,000, 1,001. I was like, oh, I'm dizzy. And then I called.
Yeah, okay, you're back.
So I started counting, and I reached like 1,000, and I'm like, oh my god, I have a headache. So then I called a mathematician friend, and I asked her, I have this problem. 3 books, 13 images per book. Multiply, how much is it? Is it what I think? 13 to the power of 3. 13 multiplied by 13 by 13. And she said, yep, 2,197. So it's mathematical. But before that, we tried to find a formula, and it didn't work because it only works like, I didn't want to make it so mathematical, but then it became. So it was like not a mistake, like a chance.
Okay. Can I tell the story how we met in Paris?
Yes.
You can take a break.
Yes, please.
Because it's magic. It's magic. Я була на парі фото, і це був останній день. І я заходжу, знову йшла на Полікопіс, це фоторинок, і я подумала про Єву, я про неї думала. Чого я про неї думала, я не знаю. Просто ми з нею ніколи не зустрічались вживу. І тут я підходжу, і вона стоїть. Така, як це можливо? І таке ще, що, не знаю, там 100 років не бачились, хоча ми перший раз в житті побачились. How is it possible that I thought of you and then I saw you in that moment? Isn't it magic?
Myth.
It's mythology. You're a Greek goddess.
And then I told you, come on, you said, I want to buy the book. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to give you, and you gave me your last money.
Я дала останні гроші, що в мене були.
I gave you a 50% discount. And that was, yeah.
It's my birthday present.
It's a question from
Katerina.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Kate, and I would like to ask your recommendation how to handle with critics, because I'm right now working on refugee diary, but my experience wasn't so harmful like refugees from Mariupol or Bucha, for example, you know, and I'm kind of afraid to post it because you know, I can have all the critics from them because it's kind of loud, you know, refugee diary, but at the same time, I'm not from that places, which was mostly affected.
I guess the problem you have is ethics, is, you know, is a diary is a private thing. So maybe they need to sign forms that they're okay sharing this information.
No. It's totally about me, but the point is I don't have that experience, you know, from Bucha or Mariupol, but mostly safely. Also, I struggled a lot, but it's not like them. So I'm kind of afraid that I will, you know, be criticized by them because it's not that experience, but I just making that, you know. So maybe you have some recommendations.
I don't know. I mean, you can. I guess creativity. You got inspired, and there is something in you that is burning. It's not that you're faking it. It's just geographically you don't come from there, but you're still Ukrainian. So I think, I mean, I've written poems about suffering, and it's like, does suffering has like a geography? And who is going to criticize you? I mean, the locals? No,
Well,
but
probably
also
because
you raise awareness, you know, it's important. The more voices you have, the better. If you do, you know, if in doubt, for me, my guide is always respect. And, you know, if you respect them and if you don't try to exploit the thing, then if it comes from deep inside you, then it's true.
okay, thanks.
I don't know. What do you think, Ira?
I don't know. I would rather speak about my experience, or then find one person that trusts you for you to tell her experience or his, and not just generalize. Я би або розказувала про свій досвід, або знайшла людину, яка тобі довіряє і хоче, щоб ти розповіла про її досвід, якщо вона сама не може. І тоді питань взагалі немає. То в тебе є дозвіл, ти можеш робити все, що захочеш.
And also, you know, sometimes you don't have to show everything you write or you do. It takes time. It can be a beginning of another project that takes you somewhere closer to you, so you can use it as inspiration, not share it and then go somewhere deeper that is more personal.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Є ще питання?
В мене є коментарі. Просто я хотіла. I want to share with you that I really like a book that's also about myths. Woman Who Ran with the Wolves.
Oh, of course. She's my Bible.
It's yeah, I mean, it's a great book.
And it's empowering women. When you first read it, you're like, oh my God, she's true. That's what happened to us. We used to run with the wolves, and then we went into little shapes. Yeah.
Yeah, but also stories are so deep, so they need time. I mean, I cannot read the whole book together.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I read one story in spring, and today I think I understand it better. It's about a mother who was searching for the bones together, and it was like, oh my God, it's the same story that we are living right now in Ukraine. I mean, finding the pieces of literary bones.
Yeah, it's a very important Clarissa. She's a very important mythologist. Yes. Guys, if my you know, when you watch a movie, there is the beginning, at the end. Like if you feel vulnerable or something, call the Samaritans. I don't know if you have felt sad or something. Is this somewhere you can go and talk, or someone, a friend? I mean, if it's heavy, all the things. Do you have like a group therapy or?
I know people who go to therapy individually, my friends, some of my friends, but I don't think it's like common thing for now. But also I live in Kyiv, and here's more people are going to therapy than, for example, in my hometown in another region.
Yeah. Or if there is nothing you can do, you can just shake your hands, dance, go for a walk, or put some music. You know, try to do something that feels good to you. Because life is complicated where you are. Yeah.
Є ще питання?
Maybe I have one more question or two. I wanted to ask you, what else do you do when you don't do your personal projects? Do you teach photography? Or how do you sustain? Is it your like main thing what you do photography, or you do something else and combine it? Because it's always a problem for the artist to live somehow and find some courage and inspiration and time to do your own work. How do you balance all of it?
I teach at University of Sussex, and now I have lots of marking. I hate it, but when I teach, I like it because, you know, it's nice to be around young people and see what ideas they have, and but I hate the marking. But it's, as you said, this is like a practical thing. It pays my bills, it pays my mortgage, and also it's good to be around people. Otherwise, I go too much in the dark, in the subconscious, and it can be a scary place. So I need to force myself to interact with humans. Otherwise, I'll be like reading books and just overthinking, and it's not good. So it's good to, and I do gardening, and I spend lots of time with my cat. My cat is my connection with the anima. You said you had two questions? There's another one?
I think it was one combined.
Okay.
How do you find time and courage to do your own projects? Because I think for me, it's sometimes very difficult when I do photography also commercially. And also I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, like for myself and my individual projects. But sometimes I lose myself somewhere in all of it, because I need to do both. And it can be sometimes hard, and you just don't have enough, I don't know, energy to do it, or time, or you just want to switch to something else and do other things. I don't know if it's normal or no. Sometimes I have it, of course. Sometimes I can do my own stuff, but sometimes I'm losing myself, and it's very often like this.
Yeah, you can tell my projects start 1999 and they get published 2023 or 2006 and they get published 2020. It's quite long because I abandon them, I rework on them, I revisit them, and I'm very conscious that I don't show, it's like an iceberg, you know, you only show the top, and then the rest is many years of trying to think what's the best form to show. Does this photo connect? Shall I show this poem? No, it will. So it's the things you don't see are the things that push your project to be revealed. And because my projects are very personal and about trauma, and I feel very vulnerable, I only show them when I'm ready. And I'm like, I think I reached an age, I'm like 44 now, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care. People need to talk, you know, instead of, I don't know, beauty products or makeup, let's talk about what matters.
Юль, перекладеш?
What?
Just asking
Так.
for translation. Because I think that's an important point.
Єва говорить про те, що її проєкт, наприклад, 20 років, він дуже довго, це дуже довго. І вона показувала тільки частину айсберга всієї роботи, яку була пророблена. І іноді вона поверталась, іноді ставили паузу, але загалом, так, я забула. Іра.
20 years.
Да, ще деякі проекти, вона ними ділиться, коли готова, і
А.
вона їх лишає, потім знову дивиться, потім перероблює, шукає формат, дивиться, чи фото поєднується, і це, бачите, займає 20 років. Тому зараз каже, що мені вже 44, і мені вже пофіг, що люди скажуть. А до Каті, до мене прийшла хороша думка. Якщо ти хочеш працювати з just asking, answering the question of Katya, I just got an idea. Ти можеш опублікувати open call, ти можеш написати в Інстаграмі чи Фейсбуці, що ти шукаєш людей. Чи щось
Я,
таке?
напевно, не так виразилась, бо я працюю над своїм досвідом.
Окей.
Я вже з біженцями, я закінчила проєкт, я його
Мгм.
вже опублікувала, він був теж показаний у Парижі, але зараз я просто роблю як такий щоденник. І просто я переймаюся за те, що деякі люди, які з Маріуполя, з Бучі, бо я вже стикалась, коли працювала з біженцями, з їх історіями, я вже стикалась не раз, коли одні кажуть, що я приїхав у Львів, а там всім байдуже і все таке. І
Не
знаєш,
можна
і мені просто...
порівнювати.
Ну, я саме про це, що не можна це все порівнювати. Я просто переймаюсь за те, що було дуже багато критики з боку українців, бо я зараз працюю з цим як менторська програма в Спутник Фотос в Польщі. І вони всі підтримують цю ідею, бо їм дуже цікаво побачити, як біженці, які влаштовуються, бо всі бачать тільки погані новини, але ніхто не бачить хорошого нічого. Але разом з тим, які труднощі тут, складнощі в Європі. Але я все ж таки переймаю, що буде багато дуже критики від своїх.
Ти завжди можеш зробити примітку, що ти не порівнюєш, наприклад, свій досвід з досвідом інших людей, які пережили набагато страшніші події. Ну і Єва також казала, що це про внутрішню готовність поділитися. Тобто це все ж таки переживання, та і якщо вони не прожиті ще до кінця, іноді ділитися ними ще рано. Як, наприклад, Єва робила проєкти досить довго, і потім, коли вона вже відчувала готовність поділитися, вона ділилась.
Єва, did you ever got criticism about your projects? That maybe you like romanticize trauma?
If someone criticizes it, there must be assholes, because it's like...
Кажу, що вони всі дебіли.
I don't care for assholes. I don't have time for assholes. I have only time for good people.
I have a question for you. How do you consume photography, you know? They say that in order to make good photography, you have to look a lot. But I feel like you have a different story. What do you think about it?
I listen to music all the time. Music, rhythm. And then I watch movies, and then I see paintings, and then I observe my cat, the way he moves, and then I do gardening. If I go to a photography exhibition, I hate it. They're so boring. I look also lots of books. I love books because book is like a paper movie. You know, book has a rhythm again. But music is the most important thing, and dance and swimming, you know, moving. And getting oxygen in your brain, which is through walking or walking under the trees, just having no plans. If I have a plan, nothing happens.
I love your lifestyle. I mean, I'm trying to do.
I have to go to work still. I have a schedule, but when I'm free, I just seriously, the cat during the pandemic, he became my mentor. So
it's funny because Yulia, she made a project from a perspective of a cat.
You see,
who traveled across Europe.
A cat refugee.
A refugee cat.
To Portugal.
There was a refugee cat from, I think, a family that they reached Lesbos, the Greek island, and the family moved to Norway, and they were reunited with the cat. The cat was lost in Greece, and they found it's so I cried so much. It's just another thing I wanted to say is don't be in a rush to show work. now you just need to collect. Now you just need to observe, because this will become like your protection. If you start observing, you somehow detach yourself with what's happening, because you're like, I'm the archivist. I need to document everything that happens. And then in 2 years' time, 5 years' time, that's when you show it. Don't rush yourself, because it's not natural to say, yes, everything is fine. I take photos and then here's my project. It's, you know, just take your time and you will feel ready when you're ready.
Eva, one more question. How do you find funding for your projects? Do you apply for any grants, or how does it work? Because as I know, like if somebody does some personal stories, or if I was like thinking about like some personal projects, like some people told me nobody would like to like give you a grant for this because it's like your story and who cares about it? Is it true, or what do you think about it?
I think I say this to my students: the more personal a project, the more it connects with the audience. If it's honest, then it has like an open door or open window. The way I find my projects is through my work, you know, my teaching, but also I did crowdfunding and I pre-sell my book. So then when I want to make a book, my next book, I will pre-sell it. So I will have minimum risk. So it means I will not go bankrupt. And you start building your audience, and then they believe in you, and then they can, you know, buy things. But also I think there will be awards and competitions that will help Ukrainian photographers, because I think that's something that should happen. There should be funding, a European funding. There must be funding, I'm sure. Or like, you know, collaboration between countries like Germany and Ukraine or America. And yeah, the best thing is if you find a photographer you admire, you can see where they got funding, and then you study the previous cases. But all you need about funding is ticking the boxes. You need to speak the language they want. But if that doesn't happen, it shouldn't block you. As I said, you can do Indiegogo, Kickstarter, pre-sales. Yeah.
Я не знаю, може не будемо перекладати, бо вже час. What do you do on Instagram if you don't like watching photography? What do you watch on your Instagram? Do you just watch cats?
No. Even though I have lots of cat video suggestions, I follow lots of printmakers. I love printmaking. And I follow illustrators. I also follow photographers, of course, because I like seeing behind the scenes, and I like seeing how they do things. I like seeing the stories. But also Instagram is a place to connect, is a community. So it's a place where I don't feel lonely. There is Alexandra has a question.
No, she said
Actually,
she will
it's a
send
question. It's answering the Nastya's question. She will write me later, maybe.
Alexandra, she's a pro in grants. So
Okay, thank you.
I'm not a pro actually, but I just was thinking about the same topics, so found some. So, share later.
Друзі, будемо закруглятись. Єва, I thank you so much.
Sometimes you get frustrated because you see people getting grants and their work is so boring. It's like, but don't give up. You just have to keep doing it. And I'm here, you know. I will send the books, and Ira can email me. You know, you can contact me through Instagram. I'll be happy to check your work.
Check you out.
Check you out. Hold on. Someone wrote, Volodymyr, I've heard so much about photographers saying that they're not inspired. Yes. Watch movies, listen to music, read books, study psychology or philosophy.
But if a photographer is not interested in seeing photographs, can you say like photography is a self-sustained art form? Because I've met so many photographers that are interested only in what they photograph. Maybe it is all about the non-photography audience. I didn't understand the question.
It's a very
Did
deep
you understand?
question.
I also don't like actually photography. I prefer other things, just like Eva. But did you understand the question? Because I didn't.
It's very common to not find inspiration from photography, but some photographers are obsessed and it's like they create a little bubble and they only exist in the photography world and they only talk the photography language. But that's what I try to break with my students. I'm like, you should read geology, you should read psychoanalysis, you should read neuroscience, you know, not just photography theory or just photography, because it narrows your perspective. So it's like really boring. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Good point.
Так, Єва казала про те, що коли фотографи споживають тільки фотографії, то це обмежує їхній кругозір. Вони в такій бульці залишаються. Okay, the time is coming to an end.
I had so much fun. Thank you so much, even though my
Thank
topics
you.
are depressing, but you see there is hope, you know.
You're
We
the
create a
best.
community and
No,
we
I
tell
just
we're the storytellers. But
Thank you very much.
collect material. It can be audio, it can be photos, videos, artifacts, letters, notes, everything.
I think you're a genius.
And then you don't have to show everything. Keep the things for you. That's show the iceberg. Look, show this instead of this.
I just said I think you're a genius.
Oh, thank you so much. You're
I love your work so much.
heroes. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's a great book. I mean, I would love to do the book like that. It's amazing.
Your work will tell you what form it should have. Let them talk.
You're speaking in deep tweets.
I-
Your work
because
will
I
tell
spent-
you the form.
Yeah, it's true, because if I
And I
force
love that.
if I forced the book in 2008 because I'm like, I have to finish it now, it will have been a boring book. So you just let it evolve. It has an evolution, you know. It's nice. Okay, and I want to keep in touch with, you know, you have to contact me, whatever you do, let me know. Any questions?
We'll have another Doom 10 years later when we finish our project and recover from our trauma.
For 5 years.
Or not. Yeah.
But seriously, the Olena is so years ahead. She is
The
like
Olena.
amazing. Yeah.
You're amazing too. You have a heart as big as this.
I know. It's because I spend time with nature and good people, not assholes.
And cats.
And cats. If anyone is negative, think it's them, not about you. It's about them. They are toxic and bitter and miserable. It's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's them. Took me years and therapy.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Всім дякую за участь. Thank
How
you
is
so much, Єва.
thank you.
Дякую. Дякую.
Дякую.
Дякую.
Дякую. Дякую.
And we'll see you later.
Дякую, Юля, за переклад, до речі.
Да,
Так,
Юля, дуже супер.
дякуємо.
Я забула. Дякую дуже за переклад. Супер. І всім за участь. І Єві теж надзвичайно вдячна. Бажаю всім гарного дня. I wishing you a good day, good rest of the week. And I hope to see you soon.
And you're not alone. There's always someone there for you. Remember, just find the right person to talk.
She just keeps dropping this like golden wisdom tweets.
Hashtags.
It's very inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Daku.
Дякую.
Дякую.
Yes.
Дякую. I hope I didn't swear in Ukrainian now. Дякую.
Is it much different in Greek?
Ευχαριστώ.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, beautiful.
It's beautiful, but it's like 4 words.
No, a long word. Okay, have a good day, everyone.
too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye-bye, everyone.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.